Okay, welcome back to Friday Night Insights, Week 3.
It's flying.
We have, yeah, it's not so.
Before we know it'll be Halloween and the playoffs will be here.
It's true.
We always find a way to say the season's flying, and I don't think it is. But we're coming off earthquake, Washington, by a bunch over Metamora.
It was surprising, not necessarily surprising that they won. I mean, I think Washington had been inching up toward that Metamora plateau for a while, but the way they beat them was really, really surprising. And what's funny is I obviously picked Metamora and I thought they would win the game, but I went into the game, Washington had scored first, I believe, and then Metamora had a possession, and I'd seen them be able to both sides play one series, and I'm like, Washington's the better team. It just really seemed like Washington had just moved a step up, and Metamora is still in that learning stage with a lot of young players and places, and especially on defense. The bar is set so high for them that anytime they stumble,
Yeah, that it's
taken a little.
like I can remember reading about Alabama football back when Brett Bryant was there. I remember the year we lost a football game. Everybody took to bed, and it was kind of the same thing.
I'm going to say something Daryl Krause doesn't want to hear, and that is Washington runs the table now. Because they do that Springfield nothingness on both ends of the league.
Yeah, say that
the
week 9.
The non-conference games are set up nicely for them, but
Limestone, EP,
the Dunlap game, East Peoria was a tough game last year. It was a 5-point game in the regular season, but then they turned around 2 weeks later and beat them by 28. So
Yeah.
I mean, they have to stay healthy. That's the bottom line for Washington, because they're not as deep as some other teams in the league, but they're really, really talented at the top.
Metamora in a bounce against a Dunlap team that they're throwing it now.
Yeah.
They're throwing it across the river like those frat guys dribbling the ball.
As we speak, they're throwing it probably.
I've spent a week at Dunlap Morton last Friday night. A mad Metamora team might not be a place to bring a passing attack.
Right. They still have a lot of guys who are very angry from last week, and they'll certainly give Dunlap all they have.
Although it should be noted that Redbird secondary did struggle against the Washington pass
Yeah,
attack,
it
so
really
that,
did.
That could be something.
It could be a high-scoring game.
Absolutely.
And Dunlap also has struggled stopping teams from scoring as well. So
Yeah.
I see a very similar score that Dunlap has played the last few weeks, at 35-21,
Both points coming in the second half.
Yeah, scoreless first half.
Scoreless first half. Let's put up 59 in the second.
A high-scoring game, plus Metamora's at home, and
Yeah.
I think they get things rolling back again.
EP is at Limestone, and you're going to tell us how Limestone just needs that one break. It's the Milo Hamilton thing.
Oh,
You score that run, you win that game, you run off 10 in a row, you break a 100-year drought.
I don't know what it is with them. It's just like they looked pretty good against Notre Dame and still couldn't win. Last week, Tyler Ashby has another good game, but then they can't stop Pekin from scoring. And East Peoria looked really good last week against Canton. They turned things around after the week 1, just getting run over in week 1. They turned things around a little bit. So I like East Peoria in a close game, and again, Limestone I think is just going to come on another short end.
Pekin's 1-1.
Yeah.
And a hard luck 0-2 in Morton.
Oh,
That's an incredibly snake bit 0-2. I mean,
well, I mean they played Sterling really tough.
yeah.
Late and led a state-ranked Sterling team late. Lost that game in like a minute stretch. Then last week, you were at that game. You probably speak a little more on that.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lead, did they not? Or no?
No, they made the rush.
They made the
Dunlap went, but they did have the same thing as Sterling insofar as they gave up points all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Dunlap people are leaving up 28-7 thinking it's over, and I was with a dad of a player. He's like, I've seen enough high school football, it's not over. Boom, then it was 28-20 with time.
Wow.
So they made a run, but they gave up other points in a hurry. IVC is at Central. Somehow they're playing on Friday. Feels like a Saturday game.
We'll get to the Saturday game.
That's at Peoria Stadium, and Peoria High
They're struggling.
is just simply struggling. Numbers just like Canton.
They can't. They're having trouble scoring, having trouble stopping. And they'll stay with them for a quarter plus, and then they'll pull away.
Yeah.
Notre Dame goes up to the Princeton team that didn't have too much trouble at Manual.
No.
That's hard game. We don't know who's going to win there, do we?
I like Notre Dame just because they have to win, I think. This is a game that if they want to make the playoffs, this is a game that they have to win.
Princeton showed me some things on Friday night. I really liked how the Compton kid ran, and he he just runs hard. I don't know enough about Notre Dame, but given that 15-8 loss to IVC, I think they might the Irish might eke out a close one here.
It seems like
I'm going to the NCIC. You know that after last week.
That was a fantastic text message last week.
I actually looked like some Peoria teams could play with the NCIC, and I was brutally wrong. I didn't know the birth factor.
I haven't learned my lesson in 30-plus years.
Well, you know, I grew up on the laughing side of that, as I told you. Hey, Richwoods goes out to a Moline team that's doesn't duck anybody.
No, Richwoods, Moline rather, played Algonquin Jacobs in week 1 and then Geneseo in week 2. Both of them. Jacobs, I believe, received some votes early, or they're releasing the Sun-Times poll, and Geneseo is in 4A poll. So Moline is a much better team than the record indicates, but Richards is going to have his hands full. Moline runs like a spread no-huddle thing that's new to them this year. Moline's usually kind of known for that punishing run offense and defense first and controlling the clock.
And they got some athletes back. They had some kids miss last year with injury. The young man's name escapes me, but they were really looking forward to bringing him back and seeing what he could do with
They're
the
missing
ball.
a couple guys on the line now, too. Okay. That'll hurt them, too. I mean, Richwoods prepares well, and they always have. So it's a team where, I mean, the last couple of years, they've been able to beat a QND team one week that's run, and then turn around and beat a Woodruff team that was pass. So they certainly prepare well. They're not going to see anything they don't know is coming. So I like Richwoods to win this game. But I'm
a little afraid of that scare against Galesburg and the many laurels thrown at the Streaks, who are nice, but you know, I feel like Moline gets in the win category here. Rock Falls at Woody. Woodruff is either all about a Birch kid they don't have, or just played really bad at Streeter, but they got it's almost a rubber game for them.
Yeah, they have to get back on track. I think a lot of the Streeter loss was they heard the Tyshawn Birch news right as we were getting on the bus to go to Streeter. So it was a huge mental letdown more than it was. Plus they had planned to use him the entire week and those type of things. And I mean, obviously he knew there had to be a chance that they couldn't use him. But at the same time, the kids saw him there in practice and those type of things. So they've gotten over that. They have a lot of talent. I mean, it's just unproven talent.
Saturday at the stadium, capping off their Centennial Week, after being busy Friday night dedicating the gym to Coach Van, 10 years late. Manuel will play Macomb at 2. What do you got?
Manuel did some things nice this week with the Hammerell kid. You know, that was my first chance getting to look at him as a quarterback. To be honest, I'm really surprised Danny Fowler hasn't gone wide open like he was back in the late 90s. Hammerell can flat out chuck it. Combe has a real big play threat in Matt Gordy. He had a punt return for 85 yards and a 59-yard touchdown reception, both called back last week by penalties. But he's been their big play threat for the last 2 years. Even with the Hendrickson kid there last year, he was kind of the kid that was counted on to bust games open for him. So I think they'll have problems containing him.
Well, and Emmanuel seems to always, I mean, the last couple of years, it's been so much about doing things right and then making a mistake. And Macomb is such a well-coached team, such a good, a tradition-filled program that they're going to wait for Manuel to make a mistake.
So this one isn't totally neighboring towns, but Anawan and Princeville.
Had
some battles.
Had some battles. You know, Anawan comes in 1-1. It's not as pretty as the other 2-0s on the sheet, but that one loss was to an Aledo Mercer County team that, you know, returns a lot from last year's state quarterfinalists. So, you know, they played with them. You know, nothing to stake your head at. I think you'll see a great battle between that Princeville defense trying to shut down Sean Walker and Walker trying to contain maybe a little bit of that Princeville passing and make him focus strictly on the run.
Can the Princes get to 3-0?
I think the Princes get to 3-0 in a close one. United and Stark. A year ago, if you'll recall, this was played in a rainstorm, and it was 6-0 overtime. Stark. Both teams were state ranked. They're state ranked again. United just moved into the poll, 1A poll at 9 this week. Stark County's in the 2A poll at 7. Not quite sure that the Rebels really belong to be ranked in 2A, but if they were 1A, absolutely. But 2A, I just think they might be a little over their head. But anyway, I'm looking forward to a good. This is going to be, you know, Adam Olin comes back for United.
Oh, really?
He's had a couple big games already this year, averaging I think right around 150 yards a game. Stark County has done it both running and passing. Ewing had a big week passing in week 1, and then they turned it over. Frisbee ran for I think 147 last week, and Ewing.
I still have one of my favorite small school players, Calvin Lewis.
Calvin Lewis, exactly.
Kid's really good.
Exactly.
Give me a Tremont Farmington winner.
I'm gonna have to go Farmington. Casey Martin really likes where his team's at right now.
Then I'll go Tremont. I love, you know, what do I know? All I know is I lost part of my life during the first half of Morton Dunlap. Okay, we will be here every week. You know the rest. Check the paper Friday, Saturday. You get it all. They'll pick every game, the snap, the Source on Friday night, all those goodies. Thank you, and ciao.